again, guys, and today we are talking about the believers and wealth. Okay, we truly need to normalize believers being wealthy and being successful. And when I say that, I know everyone's antennas go up, right? Because the first thing that we start thinking about is those, mega church preachers who are driving exotic cars and who are worth millions of dollars. But before we get into that discussion, which is going to be a completely different YouTube video, I'll truly have to pray on that, and we'll address that at another time. But what I'm talking about on a very basic level is we need to truly normalize that believers are meant to be wealthy and successful and prosperous holistically. But specifically, let's talk about financially, because this is such a faux pas in today's society, right? There's this notion that you cannot be a Christian or a believer or a religious person and still desire to be wealthy or desire to obtain wealth. And the two are not mutually exclusive. That is such a misguided rule, stereotype, notion, societal notion. And the reason it being because our focus verse here, my personal favorite verse is Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans that I have towards you, plans to prosper you, not to hurt you, but to give you hope in the future." And essentially what God is saying there is that he's telling his people, I have plans to prosper you. It is not my will that you are not well. It is not my will that you are not prosperous. I have a hope and a plan for you. And that can be interpreted in so many ways, even beyond financially, of course, but this video is specifically to address believers and wealth and, financial success, right? So the thing of it is, I'm not saying that God has ordained all of his believers, all of his children to be wealthy and extremely successful. That's unrealistic, and that's not what the Bible says. However, God needs his people in all places. And even you'll see it throughout the Bible, God has his people in all places, at all levels, in all classes, at all intellectual levels. So if God needs his people in all of these different spheres and all of these different classes, so I'm supposed to believe that the Bible has ordained for me to live a modest lifestyle or a poor lifestyle just because I believe in him and I know that greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. But let's get this clearly defined here. Let's get this clearly addressed here. Greed is completely different than desiring to obtain wealth or prosperity. They're completely different. God said it's for the love of money that is the root of all evil. And that's 1 Timothy 6:10. It's for the love of money that is the root of all evil. That's what typically foreshadows greed, right? It's that you love money to the extent to where you're just wanting to take all of the wealth in the world, and you're wanting to take it for yourself. And you're wanting to keep it for yourself. You're wanting to hoard it, right? So that's the person that's always chasing the bag at all costs, by any means necessary. I have to be a millionaire. I have to be a billionaire. So we have to look at the intent and the purpose behind it. So a person who is driven by greed, they're driven by the love of money. They're not driven by other fruits of the spirit, everything that is like God, which is love. God is love. A person who is greedy in nature, they're looking to hoard all the wealth and the riches for themselves. That is totally different than a person who is just desiring to obtain wealth and success. And in my personal opinion, and according to what's in the Bible, I feel like there is nothing wrong with that. God tells us in the Bible there is no good thing that he would hold from us. Philippians 4:19, Jeremiah 17 and 8. And so many other verses. They all address that God will supply all of our needs. God will give us everything that we need on this earth. And so again, please help me to understand why that is completely fine and societally acceptable to every other sphere of our lives. You know, our mental health, our spiritual health, a roof over our head, clothes on our back, shoes on our feet, but not financially. I think that we have to make this make sense to ourselves, and we have to break it down on that level. So if God is saying that He will provide me with everything that I need, then why would He not provide me with the means, with the financial means, to be able to live a comfortable life, or an above comfortable life, where we have an abundance of things that we can give to others, that we'll be able to indulge in luxury ourselves. Proverbs 21:20 says, the wise will have wealth and luxury, and fools will spend everything they get. That's the rest of the verse. But the wise will have wealth and luxury. So once again, God is telling us that, hey, I have wealth for you too. I have luxury for you as well. I hate that as a society and as the Black church, we have pigeonholed ourselves, or we have put ourselves in a box of this broke mindset, of this struggle mindset. Oh Lord, I don't know how I'm gonna pay my bills, but the Lord is keeping me. He's blessing me. All my needs are supplied. Oh, you know, rent is due, but I know God is gonna make a way. How many times have we heard this testimony in church? How many times have we heard this stereotype and this idea, this philosophy, this mindset perpetuated in our communities, specifically poor communities? We hear this perpetuated. God will supply all your needs. God will, you know, we get this perpetuated. And the only time we hear these verses is when we're looking or leaning on God because we don't have the financial means to supply ourselves with the basic necessities of life. So then we say, oh God, I need you to make a way. You said this in your word. Now that is lazy faith. That's lazy faith. And I hate to say it, and we'll talk more about that on another YouTube video, but that's lazy faith. Laying on our backs and expecting God to do all of the work, expecting Him to provide us with our basic needs. Yes, God said that He would do that. He will provide us with our basic needs. But God has also given us tools and resources to obtain more, to have more. Solomon asked for wisdom. He asked for wisdom. And look at what God subsequently provided him with. And again, going back to Proverbs 21:20, the wise will have wealth and luxury. So again, only further implicating and giving us insight that God has ordained for some of His children to have wealth and success as well. Now, everyone doesn't get the same starting place. We all don't have the same story. I'm not saying that every believer, every Christian, or whatever you label yourself as or don't label yourself as, every person who believes in God, they are not meant to be millionaires. They're not meant to be billionaires. They're not meant to be six-figure earners. They're not meant to be financially comfortable all of their lives. That's the reality of it all. But on the flip side, I come here to rebuke this philosophy and this stereotype that you're not a Christian unless you're a broke Christian or a poor Christian or barely making it Christian. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you desiring to obtain wealth and success. The problem comes into play when you get greedy. That's when the problem comes into play. Or when you start to put God's business or his purpose for your life, the Great Commission, on the back burner. That is when there is a problem. It's also a problem when you start believing that you have what you have, specifically financially, because of your own skills, because of your own will, because of your own brilliance. It is in God. It's in God that we can do these things. It is in his strength, in his wisdom, in his intelligence that he gives us, in his plan, in his blueprint. It is in his will that we obtain success and wealth and prosperity. But there is nothing wrong with a believer, a Christian. There is nothing wrong with a believer desiring to obtain wealth and success and prosperity. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But the caveat here is, if you are desiring wealth, and if you are desiring success, just like with anything else that you're desiring, I'm always going to come back to you and I'm going to say, did you give yourself a heart check? Have you asked yourself, why do I desire to obtain these things? What is my end goal? How does this fit into my God-given purpose? And furthermore, never stop asking yourself that question, because a lot of times God will bless us with these different things that we've asked for, whether it be financial success, relationships, marriages, fame, a platform. And we might start off with the right intentions. Our heart might be in the right place, but as time goes on and as we experience different things, our heart posture shifts. So I will continue to ask yourself that question of, God, where's my heart? How's my heart? What is my heart posture? Give yourself that heart check. Continue to give yourself that heart check. Okay? But I'm going to say it again, and this is how we're going to end this video. Let's normalize believers desiring to obtain wealth and success, and let's normalize believers having wealth and success and prosperity. You do not have to struggle to be a believer. You do not have to be a victim of the broke mindset to be a believer. You can live a life of wealth and abundance and prosperity and success and luxury and still love God and still put his purpose for your life first and still put love and others first. You can still do it. You can still do it. Let me be a testimony to that. In no way, shape, or form am I wealthy yet. Do I have abundance in certain areas? Yes. Am I comfortable financially? Yes. And I still put God first. I still put his purpose for my life first. I could be doing so many other things today. It's a Wednesday night in Dallas, Texas. I'm in my late 20s. I have the financial means to do so. I could be doing so many other things right now, but I'm here making this video, doing the Great Commission, doing what God has ordained me to do, using my voice, speaking up and speaking out, sharing my testimony. So you can do it. It's in his will for some of us. You do not have to be a broke Christian. You do not have to be a broke believer. That is a lie. It is a lie right from the pits of hell. You do not have to struggle to love God. You do not have to struggle to have a testimony. Now, for some of us, that is a part of our testimony. That was a part of my testimony. But that's not God's will for all of our lives. And we have to start debunking this myth today, like yesterday, like last year, like decades ago, centuries ago. We have to debunk this myth, guys. So I definitely hope that this video spoke to someone, encouraged someone, inspired someone, uplifted someone, affirmed someone, confirmed something that God has been trying to tell some of you guys. But again, it's all in love, and it's all in God's will, and it's all in His purpose for our lives. Let's normalize wealth, success, and prosperity in the believer's life. Let's normalize it.
Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and turn on those notifications, y'all. Until next time.